Thank you, Donald. As I finished dinner, I went and took a walk by myself. I've made lots of talks, as we all have, but I had the sense that this was the most important talk that I've ever made in my whole life. And I wanted to quiet myself down and turn within to just seek guidance. Because I have the feeling that what's happening here today, in this period of time, at the Planetary Initiative, will represent, when we look back on it, after the world has made it, will be seen to be an absolutely pivotal event. It's small, so it doesn't look pivotal, given the enormity of the world's problems. But the fascinating thing that I've come to understand in observing and studying how evolution works is that at a point when a system is about to break down or break through, small areas of convergence and coherence can shift the whole system. And what Donald has created here with so many other people is an absolutely appropriate convergence zone, with the appropriate feeling of being open, into which can move, by attraction, the elements whose connection will be able eventually to help the system cooperate to self-transcend. And I see this as a first step in a process that eventually, my vision of it, eventually will continue until it either converges with the United Nations or becomes the united peoples of Earth. We don't really know how responsive the system will be to being absorbed into this. Hopefully, it just blends in and becomes the system. If that doesn't happen, I see that what we're starting here is the beginning of the convergence zone of individuals, and it is individuals, it's not nation states, it's people. It has to be the peoples of Earth. The sovereign individuals of planet Earth need a place to express themselves and attract their brother and sister humans. And my vision of what's happening here is that this is the first open space convocation for the united peoples of Earth to express their magnetic attraction to the rest of the world. And I would like to see us acknowledge this, and whatever the specific steps are that follow from this event, that we hold the vision together, that what we're starting here is an open enough convergence zone to attract enough people so that the system can shift gracefully from its present course to destruction toward its course to transformation. So the reason I'm so thrilled to be here is I feel it like the pivotal point of history. If you circle the globe today, just go around it in your mind's eye and ask what's happening that's equally pivotal to history as this, I don't think we would find another thing. So let us acknowledge Donald and all of those who worked and all of us here for the significance of where we are for just a minute. Just think it's absolutely tremendous. I'd like to make the point that what we're entering into is not a historic change, but an evolutionary change. And that a change of this importance has not happened since the dawn of human consciousness. Now, that's a very big statement to make. And I'd like to set it in a context for you to try to show you what I mean by it. Just taking the present for a moment, one reason why I believe it's evolutionary, not historical, meaning historical changes are incremental and evolutionary changes lead to a quantum change and radical newness. That's the difference. An evolutionary change is made up of incremental changes, but finally it produces newness. We can see when we look at the mega crisis, and the reason it is a mega crisis is that it is impossible for it to continue 2 or 3 more generations and have civilization survive as we know it. It is impossible to have 2 or 3 more nuclear wars and survive. It is impossible to have 2 or 3 more doublings of the population and survive. It is impossible to pollute the environment as we have been doing for 2 or 3 more generations and survive. This is what makes it a mega crisis. They're all interactive, mutually reinforcing, and lead not to a gradual decline, but at some point to a radical catastrophe. And we have foreseen that. And from this perspective, that is an evolutionary driver which is going to catalyze the next stage of evolution. Now, here is an element that is less widely thought about. The mega crisis is the ground of the mega opportunities. And emerging out of the meta crisis right now, far less perceptible, but nonetheless very real, are a set of potentialities in the collective body politic of the human race, which, if activated in the same 10 to 20 years, will lead not to incremental improvement, not to middle-income housing for the human race, not to utopia, but to the unknown. If you just think for a moment of the capacities right now in our system and imagine that we don't destroy ourselves and that we activate these capacities, what you see, for example, if you look at the whole field of the biological revolution, you see that we're gaining access to the understanding of how the mind-body system works. And we're talking about eventually becoming self-healing, self-regenerating beings. That does not lead to an incremental change. It's leading to a quantum change. And then you look at the information revolution, cybernetics, automation, robotics, and you see an extension of intelligence so enormous that if we actualized it in the next 10 to 20 to 50 years, our intelligence would take a quantum leap comparable to the dawn of human consciousness itself. And then you look at our space program. If we actually developed a new environmental niche for the human race and preserved this environment and extended our capacities into space, what you see is a universal species. That is unknown. We don't know what it means. And as we go through this, we'll begin to explore these capacities a bit, and you see that we are at the threshold of quantum breakdown or quantum breakthrough, meaning breakthrough to radical new capacities. And our generation is pivotal, and small changes within that systems change will, I believe, make a radical difference. Now, I'd like you to hold that balance in your head for a moment, and let's back up and off in time and space and place us in a cosmic evolutionary context. First, to get a perspective on quantum transformation, you must take an evolutionary perspective. The elements of this perspective are, first of all, I'd like you to visualize ourselves right here in Toronto and just lift slightly off the planet in your mind's eye and see your little planet getting smaller and smaller as you lift towards the sun. Now allow yourself to get lighter and lift beyond your sun out to the edge of your solar system, and you'll see that the Earth has disappeared Now allow yourself to go beyond your solar system, and you're in your galaxy, the Milky Way. Your solar system has disappeared. You are at the far reaches of a vast galaxy with billions and billions of solar systems, some of which may have life comparable to our own. Now let yourself get even lighter, and you've gone beyond your galaxy. The Milky Way has disappeared, and you are in a universe of billions and billions of galaxies. And just hold that for a moment in your mind's eye, and allow yourself to come like the speed of light through those galaxies, back into the Milky Way, back into our solar system, and land right here on planet Earth, in Toronto, in this auditorium, and realize that that's nature. That's our universe. And we know as much about that universe as a newborn baby knows about its world. We are just gestating in a cocoon, just beginning to feel ourselves becoming whole, just at the point of coordinating as a whole system, just awakening to our responsibilities, just peeking out of the blue cocoon into the universe. And many of us say, well, it's all over. We know it all. Nothing more will happen. We're at the end. But as a matter of fact, from this perspective, you can see that we are just barely born.